Welcome back to another edition of the B4evaKool podcast. My name is Rex45, and we got this evening we got Eli Block with us on the show. What's going on, man? How are things?
Good. How are you?
Man, I can't complain. I can't complain because I'm not doing as much racing as I would like at the moment. And I know you know how it is when you got to scratch race dates off the calendar.
Yeah.
So that's kind of what I've had to do these past few weeks and probably into June. So it is what it is, though.
Yeah, sometimes you gotta sacrifice for your better good or your better own. And is it because of some of your daughter's tennis stuff? Tennis, right?
Yeah, she swims and does tennis. So it's that. So really, so it's not that bad because it's for her.
No,
So
you have to support herself.
yeah, exactly. So you know what I mean. I'll suck it up and do less racing. I mean, I knew that was kind of the deal because that was kind of one of the reasons moving down here
Hmm.
was to get her playing more tennis and swimming more. So she's doing a lot more tournaments and stuff now. So.
Awesome.
Uh,
How is it down there? It's definitely a lot different than being up here. A lot. We're close to like some tracks, but it's still a decent drive. I know down there it's kind of the same idea, same thing, but there's better tracks down there for sure.
Right. Yeah, and I'll leave that to you saying better tracks because I know some people debate about that, but there are definitely a lot more tracks. So I think that before last time we spoke, I hadn't gone to New Orleans yet to NOLA, so I went there.
Hmm.
Which was a fun track. It rained, but still a fun track. This weekend coming up, I'm going to Talladega. So these are new tracks for me, and I'm gonna do Barber and Road Atlanta in at the end of June and July. So I get on some new tracks. So that part is kind of fun and exciting to do. But definitely, scratching days off the calendar is not fun at all. But enough about me, man. How are things with you? And you have finished the first official round, MotoAmerica. I think about a week ago or so now. Talk us through that and tell us how that went.
First round was good. Came in. I haven't really ridden my 400 much. I rode it down south at the kart tracks, but obviously that's not really the same as riding on the big tracks. It definitely helped with some elements of my riding, but it's still not riding that 400 on the big tracks, carrying corner speed and all that other stuff. So kind of came into a little cold turkey because the last time I rode a quote unquote big track was Loudon
Right.
in October. So yeah, it definitely was. I had high expectations coming in. Definitely was kind of a little bit of a last minute rush to get everything done for the weekend, but got there. Josh Hayes came up to me. Me and him been, kind of work. We helped him out a little bit last year. He helped me out, and he keeps on helping me out. And he asked me if I want to go do some stuff, and I keep on asking him questions. And he really definitely gave me some really good pointers and tips for Road Atlanta, kind of things to look out for. He doesn't. The guy doesn't even need to do a track walk with me. He doesn't even need to do that with me. He just gives me these pointers,
Right.
and you go out there for a few laps, and you're like, oh my god, like I wouldn't even known that if it wasn't for him telling me this.
Right.
So yeah, Josh Hayes, he's been a big help for my program in the last year and two, and yeah, so we went out there. Practice went really good. We had kind of rained in the morning, so we had a half drying track. So because Moto America, we're only allowed a certain amount of tires. We're only allowed four sets or eight tires, so three fronts, five rears, whatever people want to do. So I didn't want to waste a set of tire stickers on rain tires,
Right.
so I went out on slicks, and I ended up second in the first practice. I was 0.05 off the top. So that kind of was a really good confidence boost coming in, like first time out in track, first time ever being there, um, being second place. And then, you know, camp coming to qualifying, track's perfect now. It's hot. Um, and completely dry. So I went out there and I was just kind of in no man's land for the whole entire session.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember I talked to Colin, the team owner, before the session. He's like, be patient, don't do anything stupid, and wait for your time. And I did exactly that. I waited, and we crossed the line with, I believe, 45 seconds to go.
Mm-hmm.
I let Avery Dreyer right in front of me. I let him go right past me, and luckily he did a full lap. And I waited till 45 seconds to go and let him go in front of me. And I towed onto him, latched on, and brought me from like ninth place up to second.
Wow.
Um, so, yeah, that was good provisional second place in Q1 and Q2. I wasn't expecting us to go much faster, but we did. And kind of, I played a team game a little bit with my teammate, helped him out a bit, and he was cooking along pretty well. So I kind of was just doing a little bit of solo stuff halfway through the session by myself, seeing my solo pace. And I kind of just wasted too much time doing that where everyone was getting faster because they were riding with another person, drafting with them,
Right.
and just finding the faster guys to ride with. And I kind of was just too busy doing my own little thing. So, yeah, I learned, I've been doing this for 4 years, MotoAmerica on and off. And it's just the small things that I still haven't fully learned yet.
Right.
It's like just the time when to and when not to. So now that I'm doing this, I'm learning a lot. I can bring it into the next round at Barber. And yeah, so I learned from that. Ended up sixth overall for qualifying. So I still was on the second row. And yeah, so that kind of hurt the confidence a little bit. I was like, all right. I just had my first ever front row qualifying in front of me, and I just blew it. So went out for the race, got a decent jump. I bogged off the start. I had a really good first initial let out,
Mm-hmm.
and I think probably like halfway through I just dumped, and the thing just went bull. I was like, shit. And went through. I think I went back to like ninth off the start. I remember from years before, if you're not aggressive on that first lap, you're going to lose that front pack. And I don't know. I've never raced at Atlanta for that stuff with the Junior Cup. I don't know how big the pack's going to be. I'm not going to take any risk. So I went from like ninth to like fifth on the first lap.
Right. Right. Yeah, I saw that.
And yeah, I stayed with that pack, and we were just going back and forth the whole entire race. And Avery started pulling a little gap towards the end of the race, and that's where the photo of us 7 wide going through
Right.
turn 9 came out because I was done waiting. I saw Avery start pulling the gap, and I was like, okay, I got to do something right now. I got to hopefully just get in front of these guys and latch on,
Right. Right.
and maybe I can get a tow down the back straightaway so I don't get passed by everyone.
Right. Now,
And then
in a situation like
what's up?
that, 7 wide, do you know you're 7 wide in that at that time? You just, whatever wheel is in front of you is what you see. Other than that, you're just looking for your line.
I knew there was 4 people on the inside of me for sure. I didn't know we were in line.
Mm-hmm.
I knew there were 4 people in front of me or on the side of me. So what happened was what caused me to pass everyone was I got a double draft. I drafted once and pulled sideways, and another kid. I just don't have. I'm a little bit bigger than all the kids. Not, I mean, weight wise a little bit, but like size wise, I'm pretty big.
Mm-hmm.
So I pull out of the draft, and it's a one bike draft. I could barely pass people, but I pulled out. Probably we were 3 wide at that point. Another kid gets in front of me. I get another draft from him, which brings me around him, which has those 4 people on the inside of me. I didn't know there was people behind me.
Right.
So, but that secondary draft is what got me the edge in front of everyone going down the hill.
Right. Right.
So, yeah, I didn't know about the other people inside of me. I had no idea on the outside of me, quote unquote, going into the inside, the
Right.
2 other people. So it was cool. The photo is super cool. it definitely like captures a moment that not all of us get to really experience. You know,
Right.
whether it's like I don't know, it's just like I didn't even know about it. Like
Right.
I heard everyone was like screaming about it because like we're 7 watt at that point. If there wasn't a video or a photo, I wouldn't believe it.
Right. Yeah. No, it was
I'd be
pretty.
like maybe like 4 wide, but like I don't know.
Yeah, it was pretty wild to see. And I don't know if you led for a whole lap, but you led for a little bit on the second to last lap, right?
Yeah, last lap. It was I led from quote unquote I led if we want to be in technical terms, no, I didn't lead a full lap, but I led from turn 9 to turn 8
Mm-hmm.
of the last lap
Okay.
before the
Yeah.
straightaway.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
But you know, at that point, I was just going for every crash coming out of the last corner as we were going on to the last lap. I knew I did. I knew I could not be in that position if I wanted to do good.
Right.
But
Right.
I also know how the last laps of a lot of the Junior Cup races go, and everyone starts getting pretty feisty. So I was hoping everyone behind me was going to get a little rowdy, and I could maybe break a little gap,
Right.
so I could save myself a little bit on the straightaway. And for the first time in a long time, every Junior Cup rider to be like decided to be a civil human being and follow each other. I'm like, come on, like you guys don't want to go 3 wide through the S's? No, all
Right,
right.
right.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, and so race one complete. I mean, I believe you finished sixth in that race,
Yep.
but it was pretty close, right? So I
Yeah.
mean,
No, 8 tenths.
yeah. So now, what is that mood like between after race one, the highs and lows? I mean, it's not really a low, you know what I mean, because you guys were all right there. So it's you know what I mean. But do you change a plan for the next race? Maybe attack a little bit later, kind of thing, or what are your thoughts on Saturday night?
So at first it was like during at that moment I was pissed. You know, obviously you wanna stay up front, but it's like also at that time I was looking up when we were going under the bridge into the last corner. I took a second, I looked up and I saw my teammate in first place.
Mm-hmm.
And you know, my teammate's 15 years old. He's
Pretty crazy.
I got him on this team during the off season, and I looked up and it was like a moment where I mean people would probably be super confused when they saw the replay of the race when I'm coming over the finish line with my hand up.
Right.
Like I was blown away. Like that was I don't know. I was super. I know what that feeling is like. Luckily, I know what that feeling is like
Right.
because maybe it would be different if I didn't know what it was like because I wouldn't know what it's just it's hard to explain. There's so many emotions that run through my head at least when I had my first professional win.
Right.
And obviously it's a little different for every person. You know, some people expect it, some people work their asses off for it, and I I had the same feeling of my first win for his. So for the first probably 35 minutes after the race, I was super happy for him.
Right.
And then, you know, reality sets back in and you're like, all right, I got to get my stuff together so I can, you know, get some points for tomorrow and make up for my mistake I made today. So, yeah, during the night, it's really just rewatching the race, kind of just not overthinking too much because I didn't do anything. It's not like I caused anything to be wrong. It was just my strategy. It was a little bit off. My timing was definitely a little off. But you know, as you said, attack later. That would be, you know, that would be obviously the main plan. But because racing is its own animal. Say I didn't take that lead on the last onto the last lap, maybe 3 kids in front of me would have collided with each other and taken me with them.
Right.
So it's like you don't want to risk it at times, but you gotta play that. You gotta play the long game until it either really works or it doesn't work.
Right.
So you
And
know the quote my dad says is like I rather be lucky than have skill at
right.
times.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree with that. Yeah, so it's like an unwritten rule that if you can run out front, you got to go out front, right? You don't want to just be in second place because you're thinking that an opportunity is going to present itself. You'd rather be in second place knowing an opportunity is going to present itself than choosing to be in second place, right? You kind of
Mm-hmm.
have to go for it when that opportunity is there.
For sure.
So
So yeah, definitely that happened, and then the next day it was a rain race. So definitely had my hopes up. I was like, all right, cool. This is my stuff right here. This is what I'm known for, or quote unquote known for. But
right,
went on practice. I got like, I don't even know, like third. I wasn't doing anything crazy in practice. I wasn't really wanting to crash or ruin my bike right before the race. So I just got a feel for the track in the rain, went out there and got a really good start. I went from like, no, like probably like sixth on the grid up to like third or second, or I think third. Yeah, because I passed Avery into turn 10 on the first lap. I outbraked him.
mm-hmm.
So, and I got up behind Yandel and I was just running the pace. I had the pace. It wasn't like anything out of the ordinary. It was a fast pace, don't get me wrong, but it wasn't like anything I was uncomfortable with. I knew I could drop if I needed to pull out and go, I could have. But I played the long game. I was like, all right, cool. I'm not going to do anything stupid. And I know how this track is. A lot of it is made up on that back straightaway when you have draft. So
Right,
I'd rather be the one drafting and then pull out when control the race with my own pace. So that happened, and then unfortunately, I had vision issues. I could not see 2 feet in front of me. I had a pin lock in, but because I fully didn't know, but we have two vents up front and two vents up here. I had all four vents open, and water started pouring through my vents.
oh wow,
So
okay,
I had water pouring down my inside of my visor. So if people that really don't follow racing or riding in the rain don't know, if you have water on the outside of your visor, you can turn your head and wind will take it away.
right,
If you have fog, you can crack it and
right,
the fog will go away. But opening up the visor with the fog allows water from here to start pouring in as well.
right.
So I had water pouring in from me cracking my visor and water pouring in from my vents.
Oh man,
So definitely, it was a learning experience. Everything this weekend was taken as a learning
got
experience.
you, got you.
So, I could be mad about it. And, sure, at times I am, but it's like, it's past. It's in the past. I can't change anything. Now, I ended up getting third in that race. It's unfortunate, but for me, I was very lucky that someone crashed in the second last corner. So that opened up the podium spot for me when they were right in front of me and handed me the podium. And so I made some good points there and ended up fourth in the championship
Right,
coming into the second round. So, obviously the championship's never won on the first round,
right,
but you can very well help yourself get into the point where you can win that championship in the first round.
right. So now, so how do you assess the weekend overall? Compared to other years. I didn't ask you what your expectations were when you first came in, when the first season first started. You may have, I don't know, you may have a goal to say I want to finish top 3 by the end of the year or top whatever by the end of the year. When you look at what you planned before the race season started and what the first round looked like, minus the things that you don't have control over, obviously. How have you assessed the weekend, and then what do you change for the next round?
Um, I mean, obviously, I know I can be a championship contender, and that's really my main goal. I want to be in the battle for the championship. It would be cool to walk away with the number one player at the end of the year, but you know, there's no reason why I can't. But coming into the weekend, it's all about control in the long run. You can win all year. There's 6 rounds. You can win for all 4 rounds in DNF for 2 other rounds. You just lost 100 points right there.
Right.
100 points you just DNF'd.
Right.
And the person that's getting those fourth and thirds and seconds are the people that are going to take advantage of that. So when I'm having those races where, sure, the sixth place definitely hurt. If I was like top 5, it'd be a little better. But damage control. I didn't throw it on the ground. I didn't do anything stupid after everyone drafted by me and try anything out of the ordinary and try getting those spots back in the last corner. Like I took a grain of salt with it, took my medicine, and went on to the next race. I knew I couldn't do anything else. So, yeah, coming in, my expectations for that track, I was happy.
Right.
I learned the track very well. I definitely didn't get the results I wanted, but I was up front. I was consistently up front. I definitely had the pace, and I showed I had the pace. And now I just bring it into Barber, where Barber's a little bit different of a track. You don't need a draft at Barber. You can run solo pace at Barber and not have a problem. So, and I have a little bit of experience at Barber. We're coming into the first track of the year. The one of 2 tracks of the year that I actually know and I've ridden at before. So I don't have many laps at Barber, but I have a decent amount. So coming into this, I'm pretty excited to finally go there and ride my own bike and get hopefully make some points back. And yeah, Barber's an awesome track. I know you mentioned that you're going there for the first. Is it the first time you're going this year?
Yeah, it'd be the first time.
It's an awesome track. It's such a cool track. Barber is so unique. Oh, it's hard to say. For the first time you go there, it's amazing. It's so cool. There's so many different parts of the track that are so different. Charlotte's Web, dropping down the hill in 2, keeping that going. But it's like almost, it's hard to explain. It's almost so cool that it's boring.
Okay.
It's such a smooth, because we're used to the Loudon, we're used to the Northeast, we're used to bumps shaking our teeth out.
Right.
The only thing we got at Barber is jumping the curb down by the museum corner, and we're like, that's it. All right, I'll just ride the rest of the track, but what else? But it's got such a good flow to it. There's nothing that's like, there's no corners that slow you down, like to the point where like, okay, this just ruined the whole entire track. Everything's got a super nice flow to it.
Right.
And it should make some awesome racing.
Got you. Now, going into the next round, and from what I can tell, I do believe you're one of the favorites after the first round. From what I can tell, because you have the speed, and so I do think you're one of the favorites. Obviously, the season is up to the universe. So. Now, when you go into the next round, do you look at the other riders and say, okay, I'm going to try to, maybe, learn from them or anything like that? Or you're kind of you're kind of in your own zone and you just, you know what you need, what needs to get done and you're just going.
For sure, it's always a safe bet. The nice thing about this year is it's always a safe bet that Avery's going to be fast. So whether it's, you're trying to do your own pace and you don't see any progression on the pit board, just wait for Avery. So, yeah, I don't believe I'm going to need that at Barber, and I might take that back. But, obviously it's nice to have a carrot in front of you, and if I need it, then I need it. If I don't, I don't. So I kind of just come into it with a level head. I don't know what to expect. I always say you don't know how you don't know how you're going to line up until after first practice.
Right.
First practice tells you everything that you need to know, unless it's like the first practice at Road Atlanta, where it's half dry, half wet. It's not going to tell you anything. Your first trial run is in qualifying at that point. So, yeah, definitely. After first practice on Friday morning, I'll have a better idea of what the whole entire plan for the weekend's going to be.
All right. Okay. And I say all that because in smaller clubs like Loudon and other places that you've
Mhm.
raced, you also run a bigger bike. So and correct me if I'm wrong. Running a bigger bike, does that give you an advantage when you jump on the 400, or is it a disadvantage? Uh,
It depends. Depending on the track. Like if it gives me an advantage, the only thing it really gives you advantage with is like if you can go out on track and if you can adapt to both bikes first, for before we even go that far, if you can adapt to swapping back and forth between bikes and not having a problem and not being too lazy on the 600 because you can just use the power to get out of the corners and stuff,
right.
that hurts you on the that will hurt you in the 400. But like when I rode at Jersey at NJMP last year when I was doing testing for the MotoAmerica round, I had my 600 and my 400. That definitely helped because I was out there on the 600 pushing, and the speed difference is crazy. So when you hop on the 400, like this is a toy, you just toss it around.
Right.
So that definitely helps there. But when I'm riding a 600 at Loudon, it's probably not going to help me too much when I ride a 400 at Barber,
Okay.
unless I'm riding it in the same weekend. But it definitely having some of the big bike techniques helps a little bit, but nothing like I don't think there's much translation unless you're riding a big bike and a little bike in the same weekend.
Now, after this first round, looking at where you finished, I think the first race, I think finished top six, but first to six is debatable, right? Um,
Mhm.
do you see yourself now? Are you changing your plans a little bit after the first weekend? Or you kind of like you mentioned, you just gonna the plan is to stay patient and finish anywhere from top five to through one if possible, because obviously like we see in MotoGP with Marquez and Pecco crashing out and not gaining any points.
Mhm.
When you're fighting for that title or want to fight for that title, the points matter more than sometimes where you finish that weekend.
I mean, for me, I'm obviously going to be pushing for the win, but if the opportunity arrives, I'm definitely going to go for the win. But if there's a point where I can take a second place, and I mean, it's not even that to that point to that extent. I want to win. It's almost as it's I don't like making it sound like that, but it's as simple as that. If I don't win, then that's not good.
No, I
But
know. Not to cut
as
you off,
long as I
but
can as long as I can walk away with points, with a good amount of points, like not sixth place points, but like top four, top three,
right,
I'm cutting it off at top four. Top four is like the minimum.
right.
If I can cut it off at like four and four through one for the rest of the year, that would be amazing. But if that fifth or sixth does show up due to some things happening, like at the first round, I just got to make sure that I make up the next day.
Right. And I was trying to cut you off a little bit, but it's what as I was asking that, it's kind of crazy because I think you always go for the win unless for some reason you don't have the pace, right? That's really
Mm-hmm.
it's like you always like I'm thinking it's like the only time you say okay is when you kind of recognize that you don't have the pace, not for any other reason.
Yeah, and it's a little different with like MotoGP. Like, I think what is it like 21 rounds?
Oh, well, they got the sprint now, so it's like
Well, yes.
42
So it's
rounds.
42 races.
Yeah,
42 races
yeah,
a year.
yeah,
We got 12. So it's a little bit different when it comes to like it's like not like it's as serious because it's MotoGP, it's a Moto America, but like it's still serious. But it's like
right.
we don't have as many opportunities to make up for our mess ups. So you got to be that consistent top four, top five rider every weekend if you want a chance.
Well, I'm looking forward to it. I'm looking forward to the next round. I know you got a lot of racing. I appreciate you coming on tonight and
Thank you
talking.
again for everything.
Oh man, listen, man, we're gonna have fun this year for sure. And likewise, so we're going to keep it going. But if you want to shout out your sponsors and obviously tell folks how they can connect with you on social media, so we can keep this thing rolling.
Sure. Yeah. No, I definitely got to thank first of all my parents. Um, Dad gives me everything I need, does a whole bunch of work on my bikes, and allows me to get to the point where I am. And I got to thank my whole Barcon racing team, Dunlop tires. We got a whole bunch of stuff. B4evaKool, of course.
Definitely.
Karen Racing, REB Graphics, K-Tech Suspension, Anthem Suits, KYT Helmets. I think I'm really getting most of it. Oh, Lily 990 wrench right. If I forgot anyone else, I'm sorry, but I really appreciate everything I've done. Everyone does for me. Woodcraft, thank you. And yes, so if you want to reach out to me, my Instagram is Eli Block _. My Facebook is Eli Colby. I think that's really the only other ways I got. I mean, Eli Block 92 is my TikTok if you want to go watch those cringe videos. And yeah, yeah. Thank you again for allowing me to come on. And yeah, we're gonna have a good rest of the year.
No doubt, man. I appreciate it, man. Peace.
Peace.